Yo, what's going on today, guys? Back for another video. Now that we just got introduced to Mantyke, which is going to be the new baby Pokemon ramp up for water types, I think it's only fair to talk about the best pairings that are currently in the game. Just for some background knowledge, I am actually the only person to ever win with Glacion EX in Pokemon TCG Pocket, as well as technically the only person I ever won with Wrio, even though it was a small invitational of only 9 people. A W is still a W, man. Yeah, so I've just done pretty good of water types over my, history of playing Pokemon Pocket Competitive, and I feel like I'm very qualified to make this video. So yeah, what are the best water types? Let's get into it. So for the first one I'm going to mention is going to be Kingdra. So Kingdra is not very good because you kind of have to go second. You're going to have it right away. And I'm not saying it's going to be meta relevant or even good. It is just a possible thing that can be, it's a possible thing that can come up. You can possibly go first, use Mantyke, ramp up on the Seadra, and then you can evolve into the Kingdra, attack for 90, going second. We've seen something like that. Pikachu, obviously Pikachu's a basic. It is something I wanted to mention, although I don't think he's going to be the best Pokemon. It is something you could always God roll and then sweep your opponent with. Yeah, we actually have the Fleigator. So Fleigator, through energy, kind of a lot of Mantyke, we'll be able to get that a lot, and the ability is actually pretty good. 90 damage is kind of bad, so it's a 3 retreat cost. However, 150 HP, pretty tanky. You have stuff like Irida and Misty also to like potentially get that another energy. And I think just discarding a random energy, guaranteed from your opponent's Pokemon is just a very strong thing. So I think because you could ramp up Fleigator faster, still is a stage 2, don't get me wrong, it can have potential and it can be very annoying if people end up playing this. But it is, we don't have a lot of good water types, so I did want to mention it because it is something that can possibly come up. We have the non-EX Suicun, which I think is just good for an Oricorio killer in these water decks. It probably is the best one because it's a guaranteed kill. So besides that, it's literally just here for Oricorio. So I will also put it in because why not? Next one, bro, Gyarados EX. We also have already seen we have the Mega Gyarados EX coming. So just with that and then Gyarados, being able to play the like 2 versions in your deck, being able to ramp up Gyarados faster, you're just a better man if you obviously can't get knocked out of Mantyke very fast. It's like they already knock out Magikarp fast anyway, so like whatever. Yeah, it's just Gyarados is strong. Gyarados is actually very good into a lot of the better Pokemon, bro. It's very good in the Dark Kingdom. We've seen that before in Shining. It's good against the EV box decks because all of them have like 140 HP, and the ones that don't have 140 HP are fire types, making them weak to water. So Gyarados being able to ramp it up faster, I think, can actually propel Gyarados to becoming like meta relevant once again. You could also start pairing Gyarados maybe with like Suicun and Mantyke with like some leaves. So you do have that draw power to actually find the Gyarados. That might be something that can come up. But yeah, I think Gyarados is strong. I mean, the attack has always been nice. The 180 HP and the ability. Sometimes it can screw you over because you can never set up something in the back of your own Pokemon. But if it does screw over your opponent, you can win the game with the ability. Or obviously, when the Mega comes out, you could start playing that instead. So I think Gyarados is probably going to come back with Mantyke. I feel like there's a high possibility, bro. If it's not like a high tier deck, definitely could be like a mid tier deck that we do see. Speaking about Glacion, bro, I think Glacion has high potential, bro. So basically, if you go second, you start threatening 100 damage, obviously, 110 damage with the chip. It's just gonna be a fast attacker because we've seen stuff like, Leafeon going second can be very strong just with the 70. Then you could ramp something else in the background. Combine Glacion, like you have Mantyke, you go in the Glacion, start attacking for 100. That's gonna 2-tap a lot of things currently in the meta, especially with the extra damage. Maybe you could even throw like a Rocky Helmet on for that additional chip damage. Even maybe something like a Poison Barb can make Glacion good. Going first, a little bit sus. You always do have access to Misty, so like sometimes like these 3 energy attackers, you can be in a situation where you start Mantyke, you have the Eevee, you have the Glacion, you evolve, and then dude, maybe you just literally land 1 Misty and then boom, that's like even a bigger sweep because you were going first. Your opponent hasn't evolved anything yet. So I think Glacion has potential. Is it going to be the strongest? Is it going to be like stronger than something like Flareon with Magby? No, because Flareon just nuke stuff. Glacion also has the access to EV bags, bro. Like Glacion has not been played in the EV bag format because there's really nothing to play with. So it's gonna be interesting to see how if like Glacion can become like another version of like an EV box deck because we have the Espeon, we have the Flareon, and then we have the Leafeon Flareon. So I'm very curious to see if we're gonna get maybe like a Glaceon Vaporeon type EV box deck with the introduction of Mantyke, and I'm very interested, bro, because I love Glaceon, one of my favorite EX cards in the game. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. Like you could also like technically pair with like this other Vaporeon basically to do Guzzler's effect. It is 3 energy though. I don't think you're really gonna be playing this. I kind of don't think it's that good, to be honest. Kind of prefer the energy manipulation one better. But it is something if you are playing Glacion, and we just mentioned this, so I thought we would talk about it. Speaking about Glacion, you also could theoretically go first. That is not the right card. Theoretically, could go first with this one and do 50 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Maybe if we're in a meta, bro, if Gyarados does come back and you are playing Glacion, you could use this going first to maybe like snipe something like Magikarp in the back or other 50 HP Pokemon such as like Zubats if Crobat is ever meta relevant somehow. You also theoretically can get Primarina set up faster. You know, you can on turn 2 start doing 100 damage with the heal 20, which is going to be a very big tank. Like obviously, you know, Primarina, like I think the good thing about Primarina Mantyke is that you have the 2 options. Like if you go second and you charge Primarina up to start doing 100 right away, it's going to be very unkillable combined with Lilies or Gyarados and like something like a giant cape. Or, you know, if you just go first and you start with the Popplio and you just have the Rare Candy, you can still do damage like that. So I think that is going to be a way people do maybe play Primarina going into the future. And I definitely think it has potential. Articuno, you could start doing 80 damage and then 10 to the bench. You could play Mantyke Articuno of 2 Cyruses and Turbo Articuno. We already seen how strong that is. Like, you know, just going second with Articuno and just getting 1 Misty Flip has always been so strong. So getting like a guaranteed that, or you could also just like Misty Flip, bro, anyways, and just do it. So I was like, I think it has something, bro. Like I said, it's always potential, but I do think water types have a lot of strong Pokemon. The problem was just they were very reliant on Misty. Now that we have a guaranteed way to get an energy going first, I think a lot of these water types can come back and start being very strong, bro. Sorry, bro, I just woke up, bro, so my brain is like non-functioning at like 100%. But yeah, I think there are potential of these like 3 energy EX Pokemon just because they all have like very strong abilities. Like doing bench damage is nice. You could like attack a Blizzard, you're putting on the active Pokemon, you Sire something else in, dude, and then they don't have the energy to attack or something, you know, like an Espeon deck. If you Blizzard them and then Sire something in, they're never going to be able to attack, bro. Then they're doing 80 damage, you're going to be 2-tapping almost all their stuff. It is actually good. Like Articuno is still a good Pokemon. It was just in an unfortunate position where you had to land Misty for it to be good. All right, moving down. I see a lot of cards that have potential. One, you could say Starmie. You know, it's kind of like the similar situation of the Pikachu and also the Kingdra. You know, 90 if you do go first can be a lot of damage outputted. However, I don't know if you're really going to be running this. However, stuff like Blastoise and Blastoise EX, dude. Because Blastoise EX, you might be thinking, well, dude, you got to set 5 energy for it to be good. No, you do not. Because, dude, if you go second, you start doing 100 damage with Blastoise. If you go first, you can start doing 40, you know, if you have it. I think being able to ramp Blastoise up faster is going to be extremely strong. And then if you actually can let it live, get that 160, you're one-shotting everything in the meta, bro, with either Guzma or Red. I think Blastoise is back. I actually think Blastoise is back. You even have stuff like Lyra. Technically, if you want to play like Blastoise Lyra, you have a Lily access now, dude, you know, because Blastoise hasn't been out really, or it hasn't really been meta relevant since Lily was added. You also have Misty. I think Blastoise is back, bro. I genuinely think Blastoise is back. Or at least not, it's going to be playable. I think Wrio is also extremely strong. I mean, I think Wrio has always been good. It's just the problem is you had to land a Misty or go second of Manaphy. Now that you don't, you don't have to do, like, you had to go like second of Manaphy with like a Dawn. Now you also have Elemental Switch. I don't know if you've been playing Elemental Switch in this because, you know, obviously Mantyke only puts 1 energy on something. I think this could be something, you know, you could bind this with Suicun because Suicun wants your opponent to place down stuff on the bench. Wrio doesn't. So if you play a combination of both of these, like maybe your opponent holds everything in hand with Suicun in the active spot, you can do something like a Leaf Out Elemental Switch or something, and then onto the Wrio, blow their like a 1 Pokemon or 2 Pokemon up, and that could be something that you could do. So I think the synergy with Wrio, Suicun, and then Mantyke is going to be something that we have to look into, and I'm definitely going to be trying that day 1, low key. Not gonna lie to you guys. Origin Form Poki is another one, like going second, you know, can do 120 damage. You know, you do have to land the head slip. I will be fair. Like, you can't play Will. It is a card that can, you know, steamroll a game if you land the heads. I will mention it. I'm not going to say it's broken. I think Poki up or charging Poki up is going to be hella good. Because you can't play something like Poki, like, I don't even know, like, maybe you'd play like Mantyke and Manaphy. Like, you get like Mantyke turn 1, like start Manaphying, bro. You could play like maybe like an Eevee, Vaporeon, Sylveon package, so, you know, draw through your deck. I think Palkia is like not the best pairing of Mantyke, but at the same time, like the Mantyke lives for like 2 turns. Like you can start charging it up for like a Blastoise by your second turn if you do go second. So that is something you have to keep in note. So I think Palkia has potential. You know, it just needs good water energy. And I'd be very happy. I like Palkia, bro. I genuinely have always liked Palkia's attack. I like the 150. I like the 20 to the bench. The problem was very inconsistent in setting it up. I'm not gonna mention. I mean, I don't think this is hella good. I mean, we just have this to be able to swap energy over, and because you're playing like a Vaporeon package, you could also be playing like one Sylveon for the draw consistency. The attack is 60 is pretty decent. You know, it doesn't one shot an Oricorio, unfortunately. Which is why like I kind of mentioned Suicun, bro. Like Suicun is like the Oricorio killer for water types, unless we get a new one in the new set that hasn't been showcased. But besides that, I think that is like all the good water types that I think can pair. So what are the best ones in my personal opinion? If I'm gonna be honest, bro, I think Kingdra. I think Feraligatr, you know, can have potential, bro. At the time, it's stage 2. If I'm gonna be talking about the best of the best, I am going to get rid of all the ones that I do not think have the highest potential. And I will keep Vaporeon and I will keep Suicune as tech options, you know, in these decks for certain scenarios. And I'll even get rid of Starmie. I think these are the cards that probably utilize Mantyke the most and can take the most advantage, because these are the cards that are going to sweep games once you get them set up. And if you think about stuff like Magby and Flareon or the Genetic Apex Flareon are going to sweep the games once you get them set up. And then we have stuff, you know, like Arceus in the Pichu deck. So you also have like the Pikachu that can be like a fast aggressive, or like the 151 that does nuke that can get you that game winning hit. But with these baby Pokemon, because they are low HP, you want to have a card that is going to be able to sweep the game. And I believe these are some of the cards that can sweep the game, especially going second, like I said, like stuff like Articuno, Glaceon. I think Glaceon is iffy, but I do think going second, it is very powerful because you will be able to knock so many things out. And your opponent probably doesn't have advantage. I obviously, you know, the Slowking's 1 energy, so the Slowking wouldn't be in here. Suicun is obviously, Suicun EX would be another Pokemon. We can go back. Like Suicun is going to be another Pokemon that takes advantage, because if you go first, you start attacking going second. And if you just have Mantyke, that's like bare minimum Farfetch'd at least, and then your opponent's damage. So you're gonna be doing 60 for that if you do go first at the minimum, because you know the Mantyke, the Suicune, and then your opponent's active Pokemon. However, never mind. This said bench Pokemon. Never mind. So it's gonna be doing minimum 20, but you probably have like another bench Pokemon, so you probably have like at least like 40 energy. And I don't necessarily think Suicune's gonna be the best attacker. I think it's there for the draw support and the utility, of possibly also doing some damage. Okay, I low-key forgot about Aquinid. So going second, this card could be very strong, and you might be thinking, why is this card very strong? Because, you know, you see 60 damage. If it attacks a basic Pokemon, it does 60 more, so 120. We do have Lana, so I will put that in. We do have this, which is basically a Gust, aka it's a Cyrus, but you get a pick. I don't know why I chose this one. It's hard to read. We have this with Aquinid, so you can pull something into the active spot. It can't be something with Mantyke. I still don't think it's going to be that good, because I think, you know, you'd rather have a card that instantly sweeps and requiring 2 cards. But it is something I wanted to mention before somebody mentions in the comments. Anyways, no, actually, peace out. Have a lovely day. Dude, I am actually the biggest fraud. I was like editing the thumbnail. I totally forgot about Impolon, and I made like 3 Impolon videos, or maybe just 2. It's another one of those going second high roll, you know, stage 2 cards. So it's probably not going to be overall like the best. It is still something that can happen, dude, because, you know, 80 damage to the active and then 30 to the bench. Actually pretty decent, bro. Like, opening up Cyrus. So I did want to mention it, dude, before I forgot. I hope it's actually good, man. It probably really won't be, but does one shot Oricorio, does do bench damage, and does have 150 HP to live a tanky attack. So slap a giant cape on it, dude, and it has potential. Plus, it is a non-EX Pokemon, so you'd have to go through Mantyke, Impolon, and then you probably pairing this for like maybe like a 1 Poki EX. So it can't be something that I want to mention. So yeah, I think that's it for the water types, man. I really am very happy, because I think Mantyke was probably like the thing water types needed the most. I think Suicune having the draw power to basically even out these Sylveon decks also for water types are going to be very good for the game. Stoke Charizard probably going to be smoking on that pack when these water types actually cook it out of existence. And let me know if there's any combos that I personally missed that you think are going to be very good. Technically, you could also say like Greninja in a water deck, but like I don't think Greninja is usually played in water decks, but it's kind of like a tech option in other decks. Anyways, like I said, let me know in the comments. Peace out. Have a lovely day as always.